In this episode, you'll discover how to improve your rowing ratio while you're doing strength training in the gym.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody. Lovely to be back again. And today we're going to take a look at how rowing can be supported and improved by work that you do in the gym, specifically strength training. Now, I am an advocate and have myself been lifting heavy for about 3 years now. And strength training has a lot of benefits, which I'm not particularly going to go into today, except to talk about ratio. Now, in the rowing boat, ratio is the contrast between the power phase and the recovery phase. A lot of people talk about 3-to-1 ratios when you're rowing at a steady endurance UT2 category 6 type pace. As you get closer to race pace, the ratio reduces to around 1-to-1, perhaps a little bit more, but it's more about how you can use the concept of ratio in your strength training that can help with strength training, but will also then translate to your on-water work in the boat. Now, one of the things that as we age, we suffer from is range of movement, range of motion. We find that we get a little more limited, our stride gets a little shorter, our muscles and tendons don't have the same range as we had when we were younger. And strength training is one of the things that can really help with improving your range of movement or maintaining your range of movement. So let's think a little bit about how weightlifting works. Visualize yourself in the gym holding a small dumbbell in each hand. What you're going to do is a bicep curl. So you start with your arms extended by your side while holding the dumbbell, and you lift up your wrist, you leave your elbow at the same height, and your wrist comes all the way up so the dumbbell finishes at your shoulder, and then you straighten your arm and lower it again. Within that one lift, there are two parts where you're under strain and you're lifting the weight, and then when you're returning the weight back down to the starting place. So the concentric part is when you're lifting the weight, you are shortening particularly your bicep muscle and making it work in order to lift the weight. And then as you lower the weight back down, it's called eccentric lifting, because you are lengthening the muscle. So you've contracted the bicep, and then the bicep then extends as you lower the weight. Now, eccentric lifting is the thing that should be really useful and helpful for us now, because doing that under load, so when you have a weight on the end, is a great aid to improving your range of movement. And you can then build the rowing ratio into your strength training. What do I mean by this? The braking effect that you use to control the lowering of that weight allows you actually to have greater force production. A really good example of this is if you are trying to do chin-ups. Now, when we're doing lifts with small weights, you can often do many repetitions. But you may find that if you're lifting quite heavy and you're just doing your arms, the difference between your last successful lift and the one where you fail is massive. Whereas often with your bigger muscles, your legs and your back, you can often do 3/4 of a lift and then strain to complete it. Chin-ups are a great example, because you can do a whole load of chin-ups and then you can't even get to 90 degrees and you fail. So one of the ways to improve your strength in doing a chin-up, and particularly if you can't do any chin-ups at all, so to build up your strength when you're first starting to learn how to do it, is instead of trying to do a chin up by starting with your arms extended and pulling your chin up over the bar, start in the chin up over the bar position. So you've got your muscles are already tight, they're shortened, they're concentrically lifted, and then lower your body weight very, very slowly and do the eccentric lift, and then stop. And you will gain strength, more strength from that slow eccentric muscle lengthening under load. And that will help you to get to a point where you can do your first concentric lift. And this is the sort of principle that we want to be taking on to using ratio as part of our strength training. Roughly 3-to-1 ratio works for most lifts, particularly the big muscle ones. You might find for your arms that you want to do 2-to-1. And the heavier weight you can manage and the greater ratio, the more you're going to be working this braking effect as you slowly return the weight back down. And you'll find that you can do fewer reps like this than if you're just doing a 1-to-1 ratio of lift and recover. So how does this help with improving our range of movement? What we're going to do is talk about how to build it in to lifting heavy, while also thinking about the range of movement that we want to improve. Now, the classic example here is to take a difficult lift like a squat. So you have some weights, maybe you're holding them at shoulder, you have an Olympic bar and it's loaded. And what you're going to do is you're going to stand with your feet apart and you're going to squat down. It's a bit like going on the recovery to the catch position. And then you drive your legs straight and you stand back up again. Now, getting a deeper squat, so getting, for example, you might have a goal of getting to a 90-degree squat where your butt is horizontal with your knees to the ground, or even a deep squat where your bum comes even closer to your heels. As you can tell, that's a nice parallel with the positions that we hope to get into in the rowing stroke. Deep squats are not easy to do. And when I was first taught how to do them, we did them with a broom handle or a bamboo, unloaded, just in the position so that you practiced going down and up, getting into the correct positions before we even started putting any weights on. So I'm going to give you a 6-week challenge. Can you improve your range of movement in a really difficult lift like the squat, and also incorporating ratio into your strength training? So it's 3 times a week for 6 weeks. And you're going to do 3 lots of 6 sessions. The first 6 are focused on power. Can you increase the amount of load that you can lift? And I want you to do this by positioning a bench behind you so that you're going to squat down as if you were going to sit on the bench, and you're going to get to just a little bit above the bench. Or if you find it challenging, you can actually sit down. You may find it useful to position yourself so that only the very, very back of your bum touches the bench. You don't sit sort of heavily on it, so that it really is, it's like if you're sitting in a chair, you shuffle yourself forward so you're sitting right on the very front of the chair. So it's there as a safety mechanism, and it's also there as a guide to how deep you want to squat. So if you can position the bench so that it gets you to that 90 degrees, that's your goal for your first lot of your range of movement. Obviously, if you're trying to go for a deep squat, you might find that a bench isn't the right bit of equipment to have, that maybe you have one of the those class steps where you have a plank and then you can mount the sides. They have a pyramid of mounts that you can put in so that you can position it exactly where you want to be able to go. So by putting it behind you, it tells you whether you've hit your range of movement target. And we're going to start with maybe 5 to 8 reps of power. So you're working first on your first 6 sessions are on power, increasing the load that you can take. Then you're going to do another 6 sessions, which are on range of movement. So you're going to perhaps lower the bench or the step class block that you're sitting down towards. You may need to reduce the load on the bar in order to do this. And so you're going to reduce your reps from 5 to 8 down to maybe 3 lots of 3. Now, that's heavy, and you should definitely do this under guidance and supervision. Have someone spotting for you so they can catch the bar if you get into trouble, and have someone checking how you are moving so that you're getting through the correct range of motion. And our third lot of 6 sessions, so we've done power first, then range of motion, and our third lot is speed. And this is where the ratio comes in. So what you're going to do is you're going to lower for 3 and then push up fast for 1, so that the concentric lift is your 1, and then you come down 1, 2, 3. Now you can do that when you're doing the power. You can do that while you're doing the range of motion, but you're really going to work on it and the speed and see if you can tie all 3 things together so that you can learn the ratio and use the ratio training in the gym when you then take it back into the boat. Because in the boat, your weight, your load is the oar in the water. And can you then accelerate the tip of your spoon from catch to finish faster and more consistently? So you're doing your concentric under load and take the strength that you've gained from the gym into the boat. And you may find that for any given stroke rate, you learn how to push the oar faster through the water so that you have more time on the recovery. So you increase your ratio thanks to your work in the gym. I hope that's an idea that you might enjoy doing. Please think about joining our newsletter. There are over 7,000 people who get it every week. You'll find it on the Faster Masters website. Till next time.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.